when I went to MGM Studio in Disney World, I couldn't wait to ride the Hollywood Tower of Terror. It was brand new at that point, and I'd seen ads for it on TV. And so when we were in line, I was really excited. I loved looking up at the architecture of the old hotel because I was interested in old things. There was a desk with old typewriters and even an old rotary phone, and with one of those box-shaped cubbyhole walls full of keys, and it was all covered in spider webs. There was a dust covering everything, and the whole place was dimly lit with old-fashioned Tiffany lamps that were also covered in spider webs. And there was antique art deco furniture everywhere, and it was covered in red velvet fabric that was even aged and looked like it wasn't torn, but it had been sitting there for many years untouched. The whole hotel was still and stood in a state of an atmosphere that was eerily haunted and definitely very dark at the same time as being a fun place because you knew it was a Disneyland. The line meandered inside the building, which had an entrance like a fancy Hollywood hotel's front facade, palm trees, and green and red neon lights adorning the gardens around the building, shining up through the ferns with the blades imprinted on the walls in green light. And the walls of the outside of the building were a tan-colored stucco, and it was all cracked, and there was a big fissure hole in the side of the building with a lot of damage that was caused by, in the story of the ride, the lightning which hit the building during the Twilight Zone elevator ride, as legend goes. So you can see the destruction on the outside of the building as you're waiting in line, and when you get inside the lobby, there's a giant brass eagle that has been covered in years and layers of dust on a coffee table in the middle of the lobby by the fireplace. The ceiling is like 20 feet high, and it's domed with chandelier hanging down above the eagle, and very dim flickering eerie light filling the lobby with an echoing jazz record playing in the background, barely audible with static just echoing through the halls in a jazz tone. There was bellhops dressed like 1920s hotel lobby employees with red buttoned suits and stern looks. Most of the other rides in Disneyland have smiling employees, but everyone in the Twilight Zone, Tower of Terror, just has a blank look on their face to add to the atmosphere of the ride. As you wait in line, you meander through the elevator shafts and the underground basement levels of the hotel with the boilers and the heaters and the industrial working in the underground basement level, which is all decorated is down to Disney's specifications, with every detail being accurate as the workman's lights and corrugated metal walkways and pipeline railings all resembled what it would be like in a basement, with eerie, hanging circle lights. And we get into the ride, and the ride's normal as it usually progresses, with getting on the elevator, hearing the Rod Sterling intro, and going through the rotating eyeball and Twilight Zone themed neon part of the ride with the rolling eye and the classic visuals that everyone remembers from the Twilight Zone, the door, the opening door, the smashing glass. But once we got on the elevator, and the elevator started its descent, the lightning hit. And all of a sudden, I was transported into a different version of the same hotel. Everyone on the ride was gone, and I was in a real elevator. And it was eerily different, like I had gone somewhere else or had lost some period of time. When the elevator doors opened, it was like I was in the same hotel, but it was all new, and everyone was walking around, and the music sounded more clear and less echoey. I could see that all the lights were bright and on, and there wasn't any dust or spider webs anywhere, and everyone was going about their business, but dressed in 1930s or 40s clothing. All the men wore suits and hats and had very neatly groomed hair and leather shoes or loafers, and all the women were very astute, wearing dresses and sitting with all of their respective husbands. It was like a scene straight out of Leave It to Beaver. It was very weird, and I walked quickly through the hotel outside the doors into what I assumed was supposed to be the rest of the park. But it wasn't. I was somewhere in the 1960s, and it was the daytime. I wandered around for a while until the people and the scenery and buildings and lights, everything around me started to kind of flicker in a way which caught my attention and made me spin my head when I saw a "Do Not Walk" sign, which was also old-fashioned, definitely all light bulb shaped, not like the digital ones today. Started to oscillate into a green grid of a black emptiness until it disappeared. I was freaked out by it, and I looked around and I saw that this was happening to everything, was digitally being erased, until I started to fall into a blackness that was just like the opening of the Twilight Zone. I saw the door open and fall through it, and I saw a plate of glass falling towards me. As soon as I hit it, it smashed with a crunching, glass-shattering screech as I continued to fall through the blackness, looking at the stars like the USS Enterprise on light speed, flashing before me. There's a giant rolling eye past me, and then a hokey carnival float-shaped eyeball with eyelashes blinked and flew past me as I continued to fall in the darkness and hear Rod Sterling say, "Be sure to stay on the rides, or you might find yourself in the Twilight Zone."